I don't know what people think in the crevices of their mind to want to harm another human being, let alone that of children who have their whole life ahead of them.
The night before he killed his 8 children, he called his mother. He was crying, drowning in dark thoughts. His wife was leaving him. He said he didn't want to live anymore. His stepfather told him, "You can beat this man. I don't care what you're going through, you can beat it." And Shamar went quiet. Then he said 7 words. "Some people don't come back from their demons." He hung up the phone. A few hours later, his children were dead. To understand April 19th, you have to understand the complicated web of relationships Shamar Elkins was living inside. Because this wasn't a simple story. There weren't just 2 people. There were multiple women, multiple children, multiple homes, and a situation that had been slowly unraveling for years before it exploded. The first woman you need to know about is Christina Snow. Christina Snow was Shamar's ex-wife. She was the mother of 3 of his children. They had history, deep history. And even after their relationship ended, their lives stayed tangled together because of the kids, because of proximity, because Shreveport is not a big city and these people all lived within blocks of each other. Then there was Shaniqua Pugh. Shamar and Shaniqua got married in 2024, a relatively new marriage. They had children together. On paper, it was supposed to be a fresh start, a new chapter, a man putting the past behind him and building something stable. But that's not what happened. Shaniqua filed for divorce, for infidelity. Shamar had been cheating.
And here is where everything started cracking open. Because Shamar Elkins, this man who everyone described as loving his children, as being a family man, as being normal, did not handle the idea of his marriage ending well. Not even close. Before we go any further, if this story is hitting you the way it's hitting me, hit that like button right now and subscribe. Because stories like this one, the ones that make us uncomfortable, that force us to look at the warning signs we all walk past, these are the stories that matter most. Back in 2023, when Shaniqua had first mentioned the possibility of leaving him and taking the children, Shamar had turned to Betty Walker, the woman who raised him, and said something that should have stopped everyone cold. He said, "If they try to leave, I'll kill you, my kids, and myself." Betty Walker heard those words, and she convinced herself he didn't mean it, that it was frustration talking, that people say things like that and don't mean them. She took him at his word when he said he was joking. She wasn't the only one. His family heard things. His co-workers noticed things. Nobody connected the dots.
In February 2026, just 2 months before the massacre, Shamar attempted to take his own life. He survived. And after that, his family and the people around him thought, okay, he's getting help. He's going to be okay. He checked himself into the local VA hospital for mental health treatment. He stayed for a week and a half. And when he came home, his family said he seemed happy. They thought the worst was over. He was going to church with his children on Easter Sunday. He was posting Bible verses online, asking God to guard his mind. He was trying, or at least that's what it looked like from the outside. Because on that same Easter Sunday, April 5th, 2026, while his children were playing nearby and the sounds of their laughter filled the room behind him, Shamar called his mother Mahalia and his stepfather Marcus Jackson. He was crying. He told them his wife wanted a divorce. He said he was drowning in dark thoughts, including thoughts of ending his life. His stepfather Marcus tried. He really tried. I told him, "You can beat stuff, man. I don't care what you're going through, you can beat it." And then Shamar went quiet. Then he said, "Some people don't come back from their demons." And he hung up. Marcus Jackson sat with those words. He told himself it would be okay. He told himself Shamar was just venting, just struggling, that the counseling was working, that the medication was helping. He told himself the wrong things. Because 2 weeks later, on the morning of April 19th, Shamar Elkins' demons came back. And this time,
They took 8 children with them. The night of April 18th, a quiet Saturday night in Cedar Grove, Shreveport, looked normal on the surface. A neighbor named Freddie Montgomery had walked past Shamar's home that afternoon. He saw Shamar sitting on the front porch, children playing in the yard. The 2 men looked at each other. They waved. Nothing looked wrong. But inside that house, everything was about to change. Shamar and Shaniqua had a court date the next day, April 20th, Monday morning. They were supposed to appear before a judge and finalize their divorce. He knew what Monday meant. He knew the marriage was officially over. He knew Shaniqua was done. And something inside Shamar Elkins, already cracked, already fragile, already barely holding on, snapped. Nobody knows exactly what happened inside that house on the night of April 18th. What was said, what was felt, what the argument looked like, how loud it got. What we do know is what happened when the sun came up.
At 5:55 a.m. on April 19, 2026, the Shreveport Police Department received the first emergency call. It came from a woman named Keosha Pugh, Shaniqua's sister. She was calling from the roof of the house on West 79th Street. She said a relative was inside, armed, and someone had been shot. The roof. She had climbed onto the roof to escape him. Investigators later determined the violence had started inside that home during a domestic dispute between Shamar and his wife Shaniqua. He shot Shaniqua first. Then he moved through the house. The children were asleep. Most of them were shot in the head while they slept. They never woke up. They never knew what was happening. One moment, they were dreaming. And then, they were gone. As Keosha tried to escape through the roof with her children, Shamar pursued them. In the chaos, Markadon Pugh, one of Keosha's children, was shot and killed. Keosha and her 12-year-old daughter jumped from the roof to survive. Keosha suffered broken bones in the fall. A mother jumping off a roof to save herself and her child, while the man inside was killing everyone else. Police arrived at 6:01 a.m. They found Keosha and her surviving child in the backyard. Then more calls started coming in, one after another. 9 people in that house. The caller told dispatch the suspect had shot everyone inside. The 8 children were identified as Jayla Elkins, 3. Shayla Elkins, 5. Kayla Pugh, 6. Layla Pugh, 7. Markadon Pugh, 10. Kadarian Snow, 6. Braylon Snow, 5. And Soraya Snow, 11. Say those names slowly. Let them land. Because they are not statistics. They are not a number on a headline. They were children. Real children. With laughter, personalities, and futures stolen from them while they slept. But Shamar Elkins wasn't done. At 6:07 a.m., just minutes later, a second shooting was reported on Harrison Street. This was Christina Snow's home, his ex-wife, the mother of 3 of his children. Shamar went to her door, knocked, and when she opened it, he shot her in the face.
Christina Snow was shot 9 times, critically injured. 9 times. But she was still alive. And even in that moment, lying there after being shot 9 times, her first thought was her children. She used Siri to call 911, and she told dispatch that Elkins had taken her 3 children. She didn't know yet. They were already among the dead. After leaving Harrison Street, Shamar Elkins carjacked a red Kia Sportage and fled the scene. Officers spotted him. A chase began through Shreveport and into neighboring Bosher City. At approximately 6:29 a.m., officers confronted him on Brompton Lane. He was shot and pronounced dead at around 7:03 a.m. The entire rampage, from the first 911 call to his death, lasted just over 1 hour. 8 children gone. 2 women critically wounded. A community shattered. And a man who had told his stepfather 2 weeks earlier that some people don't come back from their demons was dead. He was right about that part. When Betty Walker, the woman who raised Shamar, got the call that morning, she said, "I was getting up this morning to make myself some coffee, and I got the call. My babies are gone. My babies." She called them her babies because she had loved all of them. She had watched them grow, sat across from them at dinner days earlier. Now, they were gone. The Shreveport police chief said it would be remembered as one of the worst days in the city's history. The mayor called it horrific.
And the community poured into the streets. Candles were lit, flowers were laid. People who never met these children cried anyway, because some tragedies are too heavy to stand apart from. A prayer vigil was held that same evening. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry announced funeral expenses for all 8 children would be covered. 8 funerals, 8 small caskets, 8 families trying to understand a loss with no explanation big enough to make sense of it. Now here is the truth we have to face. This did not happen out of nowhere. The warning signs were there. Threats had been made. Mental health struggles were visible. A suicide attempt had already happened. Family members heard the words. Co-workers saw the stress. Professionals had seen him too. And still, 8 children died. That is not an excuse for what he did. Nothing justifies walking into rooms where sleeping children lay and ending their lives. Nothing. But if we refuse to ask how it happened, it happens again. 8 children, 5 girls, 3 boys, gone before sunrise. Their names deserve to live louder than the name of the man who took them. If this story moved you, please share it. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, because these children's names deserve to be remembered. We'll see you on the next one.